Welcome to the 5th edition of TCDI Talks. I'm Dave York with TCDI, joined by Landry at TCDI and David Gaskey, Altumatim. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. We're here at Lit Forward, which is TCDI's think tank, where we're discussing all things AI, so we thought we would do it together today.
Yeah, something different.
So today's topic, everybody's favorite, prompting. So, David, high level, what is prompting? What's considered prompting? What's not considered prompting? Because I think a lot of things get lumped under the auspice of prompt.
Sure. So I think at the basic level, prompting is an instruction to an LLM to perform something. You can think of it like computer code. I mean, computers have certain capabilities. Good code will give the computer instructions to do better things. Similarly with prompts, a good prompt will instruct the LLM to do something better. So when you're prompting an LLM, you are actually giving it instructions and telling it what to do. Computers only do what we tell them to do. So if you don't put a good prompt in, don't expect a good result out.
What are some good recommendations? I mean, we work in an industry that is very verbose in how we write things. I imagine that probably doesn't work well when you're typing up a prompt.
It doesn't actually. Our experience has been looking at, we've seen some prompts from different people, different legal, but different legal professionals, whether they're attorneys, paralegals, service providers. And most people they're in their comfort zone. Like if you write request for production as part of your normal practice, the way you write that is typically designed so that the attorneys on the other side cannot escape giving you what you want them to give you. If you use that type of language, like including, but not limited to, and throw in all those phrases that lawyers love, that confuses the computer. It confuses the LLM, I should say. So you definitely don't want to just go with that. You have to think more like a programmer to some extent.
So I wasn't that bad with the included but limited to, but I definitely had paragraphs for my prompts. And David's feedback has always been, make it briefer, make it more concise, get rid of all the fluff. So that's been great advice, I think.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. You want to get rid of the fluff. You want to be clear. You want to be concise. You need to be consistent as well. I've seen where people they'll use one term in line 1, and then you get to line 4 of their prompt and it's a different word. Well, you might think that's the same thing, but you're dealing with a machine, and you really need to guide it carefully if you want good results. Some LLMs will actually pick up on, okay, I think you mean the same thing, and it'll go with that, but there's no guarantee.
So that can actually explain, we're working on a project right now where we're doing issue coding, and we were getting amazing results, like 90 recall, 90 precisions, like high 90s recall, low 90s precision, which, as we all know, is amazing. But there was 1 or 2 issue codes where it wasn't doing as well. It was maybe in the 70s for precision, which is still much better than human review. But based on what you just said, this was a foreign language review. There were many words, there's many foreign language words for some of the topics. And I think we did use multiple, or maybe in the documents themselves, they were referring to it in different ways.
Yeah, and what was interesting about that is that there were 2 issue codes where the precision was lower than the rest. One was a very short description of the issue. The other one was very long. So you really kind of have to hit that sweet spot in between. The other thing about that is those criteria that we were using, that's not the actual prompt. So the way we use input from a customer is that gets fed into what I like to call our prompting engine. So we dynamically generate prompts based on the input. Like, for example, if you're using Emmett in Altumatim, you ask a question. The question is not the prompt. It's a feed to the system to then generate a prompt based on your question. So there's a lot of things that happen in the background to actually execute, get to the result that you're looking for.
I Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no,
No, I was going to say, I imagine that's very similar to a documents database, and that people are used to having pretty field labels and information they plug in. But if you look at the raw text of what the database is actually doing to execute that search, looks vastly different.
Right.
Probably very similar.
Right. Yeah. Like think about that. Like you, as a user, you're going in and selecting fields. Well, there's code that the machine is executing to say, oh, you want stuff with this field, and then it does its job.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to that. I think a lot of people think of asking a question like in a ChatGPT interface. Yes, that is prompting in some respect. But when it comes to more complex things, you need more than just a question to get consistent good results. So, I mean, there's so many techniques that can be used to accomplish good prompt engineering. The better prompting you do, again, the better results you get. The techniques that are talked about a lot, like, for example, chain of thought prompting, where you actually lead the LLM through a series of steps. That has been shown to enhance the reasoning capability of the LLM. It can actually follow and get to better results doing that. And then people have expanded from chain of thought to tree of thoughts, plural, where you actually create a series of branches, and the machine, the LLM can choose which branch it's going to go down. Even beyond that is what's called plan-based prompting, where you present the LLM with a problem and tell it to create a plan and then go solve it. So there's a lot that happens behind the scenes that the typical user has no idea is really going on, if something is sophisticated and good results.
So from a user perspective, what does that mean? Like as a front end person, knowing that all of that is going on, do I still just need to be concise and to the point, and that all of that happens behind the scenes, and then I do validation, and then I build off of that?
Yes. Yeah, you still want to follow basic rules of, clear, concise, consistency. The 3 C's, we could call them 3 C's of good prompting. For that user input,
Framework.
you do that. But it's like doing a search in Google in a sense. Like you have no idea what Google's algorithm is. It's not just doing a keyword search, it's doing all kinds of stuff in the back end. But putting in the wrong words or putting in words that don't really describe what you're looking for, you're never going to find, the results. So from a user perspective, I think keep it simple by having users, at least that's the way we've designed our system. Let the users do what they're comfortable doing, and then we guide them into the clear, concise, consistent framework. But the real magic is happening with all that dynamic prompting at the back end.
I think that answers the basics of what is prompt engineering. Hopefully that was a lot. Hopefully that clears up a lot. I like clear, concise, consistent. I can live with that.
Actually, the session was clear.
I don't hope it was.
So we'll see.
I know it was.
All right. Well, thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next TCDI Talks.
Bye now.
Bye.
Yeah.